Welcome to the Business Transition Summit podcast, where we deep dive into the stories and strategies of the renowned speakers featured at the Business Transition Summit. We'll be investigating how you can be part of the 17% of business owners who successfully navigate their path to dream exits. Get ready to be inspired, informed, and equipped as we kick off this transformative journey, and be sure to attend the Business Transition Summit for exponentially more information. It's time to join the 17% Club and make your dream exit a reality. I'm Jim Roddy, the president and CEO of the Retail Solution Providers Association and a two-time business book author, and I'm your guest host for today as we kick off this podcast. I'm filling in for the real host of this show, Tom Bronson, who is actually our guest today. Now, I'm part of the 17% Club myself and have to be interviewing Tom, who's a fellow 17%er, and about this fantastic event that he has founded, the Business Transition Summit. Tom, it's great to see you again. How are you?
I am awesome, and thank you for joining us on this kickoff. You know, I told you this story before, and for our audience for this podcast, I'm assuming that many of you have listened to our other podcast, the business, our value building podcast, where Jim has been a guest or a host 5 times already. So this is number 6. We've got to figure out a way to keep this train rolling because, you know, Jim, I'm not going to be satisfied. I can't die until we've done 100 together. So. We have a long path.
Well, good. Well, the good thing is, you know, it's all about maximizing business value, right? Yes. And so that is never going to go out of style. So you and I can talk forever about this as long as the good Lord is willing.
Absolutely. I will take issue with one thing you started, though, you said we're interviewing the renowned speakers. And I guess maybe I'll start next week by interviewing renowned speakers, but you have to start with me. Sorry about that.
Yes, the renowned speakers and Tom Bronson.
Right.
So you and I obviously know each other well. Can you let some listeners who maybe aren't familiar with Maximize Business Value or haven't attended the past Business Transition Summit, tell everybody about your professional background and your story about transitioning businesses?
Sure. That's a great start. So for those of you who don't know me, I have been what folks call a serial entrepreneur, someone who has owned 100 businesses in my career. I've done 100 transactions, buying and selling businesses. And what I've learned through 35 years of doing that is that most business owners don't take the time to think about their exit strategy while there's still time to impact the outcome. I always sold my businesses at a good value and in the time frame that I expected. But unfortunately, for most business owners, only 17% of businesses that come on the market are actually reach a transaction, reach the closing table. That means 83% failure rate. And I thought to myself, something's really wrong with this. And why is that the case? And it's because business owners typically, not always, but very typically, 90% get wrapped up in the day-to-day of their business, and they don't step back to think strategically about it. And when I sold my last company to a publicly traded company, I said, I want to go out and fix that. And so I've done 100 transactions myself, and now I advise business owners on how to have that same success that I've enjoyed through the years.
And it's interesting, Tom, you say that, you know, is so important, the timing of it. It's the analogy I use is like buying a car. It's good to start looking at buying a car, but once your car is broken down and like you are in a pinch, your options are way, way limited in terms of what you're able to do. But if you're able to build up, and this is, you know, the reverse, because, you know, car is the declining business. If you can maximize and increase the value of your business, you're putting yourself in a position where you can exit anytime you choose, as opposed to somebody doing the choosing for you, right? You get to a path, you get to choose where to go, as opposed to having a path taken for you. Am I understanding that correctly?
That is absolutely 100% correct. For business owners that really take the time to think and plan, the world is your oyster, right? You know, you've got all kinds of different options to be able to exit the business internally, externally, take the company public, which is a very rare case, sell it to your employees, sell it to a third party. But if you don't plan, inevitably something is going to happen that's going to force you into a position of having to sell. Because one universal truth that I say every time on our sister podcast, Maximize Business Value, is 100% of every business on the planet will eventually transition. Some of them by choice, and some of them by default. So if you plan, like you say, way in advance, boy, it just gives you all kinds of options when the time comes.
Yeah, as opposed to, I don't know, the acronym AOS, all options stink, right? And then you just have to choose the least worst
I hadn't
of
heard
the
that.
options there.
Yeah, the least worst.
Yeah,
It's kind of
yeah.
like electing a president these days in the United States, right? The least worst, right?
Well, I've always said least worst for when you're hiring. A lot of times people are like, well, this is everybody who applied. We have to choose the least worst
Oh,
person, even though people aren't qualified for it. So, but
oh, don't even start me down that path. You and I are working on another book to try and fix that too. So.
yes. Well, and so let me ask you this. So you just mentioned books. You've already published 2 books about maximizing business value. You have the podcast, you have a newsletter, you have a consulting firm that does this. Why did you start the Business Transition Summit? Like, what does it mean to you to be able to create that live in-person event?
So, really, to me, it was about being able to touch one to many, right? Being able to touch one to many business owners. My book, of course, you can buy them on the internet. The Maximize Business Value and the playbook that goes along with it. And I guess theoretically that's one to many. It's my knowledge going to many people, but there's something about the power of networking with other like-minded business owners who are thinking about their transition and might not know where to turn and might not know what questions to ask, and getting them in the same room with some real experts who can give them good, solid advice about what the options are and how to move forward, and give them great opportunities to learn about how to improve their business so they can improve the outcome. To me, it was really my dream initially when I started this business back in 2018, which is the consulting practice, was to build up to an event like this. And I wisely planned and was ready to launch the Business Transition Summit in 2020. During clearly having a in-person event during a global pandemic is not a great idea. So we had to delay it, and we did our first one last year, where we had in about 150 business owners and some just great, powerful speakers. But the point is, this gives an opportunity for a business owner to walk out of his business for a day or her business for a day and sit down and get a solid education. I like to use your words because you're the guy who put this idea in my head. When you read a good business book, it's like getting an MBA for $15.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you come to the Business Transition Summit, in one day, you're going to get an MBA in transitioning your business. You'll be filled with all kinds of knowledge and information about how to get your business ready and how to make the decision of what's next, right? What I find is that most business owners delay talking about their exit strategy really until it's too late, because they don't know what questions to ask. For most business owners, this is a once in a lifetime event. And you don't think about it because you don't know really where to turn and who to talk to and what questions to ask. And one thing that's universally true, business owners don't like to look dumb, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it couldn't be further from the truth. You're not dumb when you're asking great questions. Okay, how do I do this? When you go find the people who can help you. One of my favorite recent books, Benjamin Hardy, Who Not How, is the story of how to find the right people to surround yourself with so that they can help you achieve your dreams. Well, that was what my vision is for Business Transition Summit. And it went off so beautifully last year. We had such an incredible reaction from our first audience there. We used the NPS score, the Net Promoter Score, to measure that. I think we wound up with an 84 Net Promoter Score, which is just astronomical. And so this is our opportunity to bring it back again this year and bring in some new business owners. We're expanding it. We've gone from 150 to now we're allowing in up to 250, but that's it. We have a hard stop at 250 because of space requirements. But that's really kind of what I had in mind when I started thinking about the vision for this.
Excellent. And I always like to share with people, if you're not familiar with NPS, if you think, oh, at 84, is that getting 84%? No, the curve is negative 100 to positive 100. So if you get a positive 84, like you are way on the high end of the continuum. That's world class
Yes.
right there. And so, and also you touch on the importance for business owners to have humility and realize there's a gap that they have that they are not the expert in. Where especially in smaller businesses, you have to be the expert and the lead on everything. And so there are things that you just don't know about your business. So what are some of the topics that are going to be covered at the Business Transition Summit that you think are most important or you're most excited about? Do you think these business owners, it's going to help, open up that blind spot for them and get them that one-day MBA?
Well, so I want to start with saying there are going to be like 18 different educational opportunities at the event because we've got keynote speakers and we've got things that we'll be doing panel discussions when we're all together as a group. But then attendees can pick and choose from breakout sessions the things that they find most important to themselves. But they also have access then to the rest of those breakout sessions via recording in the months coming after. So you can have an opportunity to get 16 or 18 different educational events. But some of the ones that I'm most excited about we're bringing in one of my favorite authors on exit strategy, Justin Goodbread. He's going to be on this podcast in a couple of weeks. Justin wrote a great book. It says, "Your Baby's Ugly." Maximize the value of your business, or you'll have nothing to sell.
Yeah, well, that's just so my mother got a book with that exact same title, but it was different. It was more cards from relatives.
Yeah, different content. I feel certain. Exactly.
But yes, very much.
But Justin is a good friend, a fellow exit planning advisor, and so he's coming in. He's going to be one of our keynote speakers, and he's going to be talking about the importance of really thinking about that in advance. Another one that I'm so excited about, he's from up in the Ohio area, a fellow by the name of Scott Kokenauer, and he is going to be speaking on what he calls the fourth quarter of life, right? And so for a business owner, now I call it the third act, but he calls it the fourth quarter. And I like that analogy because you play the game, right? In the first quarter, you're a child, and then the second and third quarters, you've got a family and your career and moving on. Well, what happens in that fourth quarter and making that fourth quarter of life meaningful? Because one of the things that happens after someone sells a business is if they don't plan for what's next after the business, then it can cause them to go into depression and gosh, what did I do? Why did I sell this? I should have sold, I should have held on to it. I've done this to my people, and they lose their business connections. And I will tell you, my personal story about that is the last chapter of my first book, Maximize Business Value. I tell the story of my father who built just a fantastic business, sold it when he was 55 for more money than he and my mom would ever need to live the rest of their lives. And little did we know that his life was only going to last 3 more years. And my siblings and I talk about it frequently. The official cause of death was cancer, but the real cause of death was that he no longer had a will to live. His identity was wrapped up in his business. And as much as we tried to pull him out of that funk after he sold his business, he just no longer had a will to go on any longer. And I'm on a mission to make sure that never happens again. And that's why I'm so thrilled that I was able to get Scott Kokenauer to come down, because he's an expert in that arena, how to develop a meaningful life beyond your work life. And so a couple other ones that those are both going to be in on the main stage in keynotes. And a couple of the breakouts, gosh, I could talk all day about this, but a couple of the breakouts I'm excited about is scaling to sell. A business that is growing is always more valuable than a business that's flat or declining. And so we're bringing in a couple of my favorite guys, Chris and Joe from 360 Consulting, Sales Acceleration, and they're going to be talking about how to scale the business so that you can get the maximum value for it in the end. And then another one that I'm excited about is Jeff Sandine is going to be talking about. I think it's 6 mistakes, but I think it's 6 specifically, but it's mistakes business owners make that mess up their own retirement plan. And so clearly a part of transitioning your business is being able to have enough money to live the rest of your life. So I could go on and on because there's so many educational opportunities, but those are some of the ones that come to the top of my mind that I'm excited about right now.
Well, I guess what I like hearing about, it's not, we're going to get our gold and platinum sponsors on stage and they're just going to do sales pitches to you, right? That's oftentimes what happens at some of these events, but everything you detail there is going to lead to actionable information, right? Knowledge that the attendees can take away and actually go and apply to their business.
Well, I want to speak to that too, because we're very careful and selective about who we're choosing as sponsors. As you might imagine, in this space, there's a lot of people who want to sponsor this and get on the stage. Well, first of all, we say at the very beginning, this is not a pay to play. Mm-hmm. We've decided what the topics are going to be. And if you have a particular topic that you are an expert on and it fits in our agenda, then that's great. And secondly, for the business owners, we have said very specifically, this is a non-selling event. We are not going to get on stage and try and sell you anything. We are not going to try and grab you at the break and sell you anything or at the happy hour afterward. This is a non-selling event. It's an educational event. And if you find great value in some of our sponsors or some of the content, then those people are all ready and willing and able to serve you, but they're not going to be selling you from the stage. I can tell you that right now.
Good. Yeah, sometimes it feels like a used car lot, right? You go to these events and all these people just, coming down on you.
How did that guy get on the stage?
Yeah. Right, exactly right. Well, yeah, but you know how they got on stage, when you look in the sponsor guide. So
that's right.
All right, so let's take a step away from the event and talk about when you transitioned your business. Can you talk about why did you decide to start thinking about transitioning your business? What are signs for some of our listeners and viewers that it's time for them to do the same?
So to me, when is the best time to think about transitioning your business? Right now. As I say in the tagline on my first book, Maximize Business Value, begin with the exit in mind. I genuinely, even though had 100 different businesses, I've never gotten into a business that I didn't fully understand my exit strategy before I started. Now, I know that I am in the minority. And let me tell you that, be the first one to admit that some of those exit strategies that I had planned did not come to fruition. I wound up having to pivot, change, and that kind of thing. But to me, exit strategy is something that deserves attention from a business owner every year. You should be thinking about it. When do I want to transition my business? Am I getting tired of this daily grind? When would I like to be able to go and spend time with my grandchildren, or for those who are lucky enough to have them? Or when do I want to go, spend time traveling the world and doing things that I want to do without having to think about the business? And it's about getting into that mind frame of being intentional about what does the future look like. So many times we just keep walking and the future just happens to us, right? And I think that we can have a much more fulfilling end to our career, much more fulfilling exit to our business, a much more fulfilling post-exit life if we just take the time to step back and plan and think about that. So some of the top things that I think business owners should be thinking about is, what are the things that make my business more valuable? And that's different for many businesses. There are some universal truths, but one of them is that growth factor that I talked about. A growing business is always more valuable than a flat or declining business. So if your business is a lifestyle business and it's providing a great lifestyle for you, but it's been flat for 10 years, providing maybe great cash flow, you're not going to get maximum value for that. What do you want for that business? If you want it to be more than steady Eddie, then you've got to start thinking about growth. But growth is hard. Growth is something that you have to think about and plan for and that kind of thing. And so I say, get into the mindset of what makes this business more valuable. There are great books that you can read. Of course, mine, Terrence, let's see. Shoot, I'm totally drawing a blank on the name. Oh, Zane Torrance wrote a book, 17 Reasons Your Business is Not Sellable or is Not Marketable. And go buy books like that. Go buy business books about improving the value of your business. And especially if your business is a lifestyle business, change that mind frame. Change it to my business is an asset that is going to be valuable to me in the future. And don't run the business like it just provides you with cash flow that your family needs to live your life. Run the business like you're going to sell it for the highest value that you can get for that business in the future. And that just that mindset alone will start moving you in the right direction. I have this theory that when you commit something like that to the universe responds. Right? I really want this business to grow 10x, 2x, whatever it is. And you start thinking along that way, the universe responds to that positive thinking. And so that's my advice to business owners. Start thinking that direction today.
Yeah, start thinking it'll be in the back of your mind and some of your actions will align with that, and that'll help you get your plan. I'm going to say, Tom, just as you were talking, I was thinking of 5 situations. I'm not going to name all 5, but 2 of them I know they're folks who you've worked with. Somebody was disorganized and you helped them get organized, and they wanted to, work part of their business, and they've taken that part of their business and it's replaced the old part of their business that they used to have. There's one. There's another one that said, hey, we're getting up in our 60s and we know we might have to transition this thing. They've been working with you for a few years, and now they're in the position that we're like, we can sell when we want. We don't want to now because things are going so well, but we've built the business up that we're ready to do it. I also think of another organization. I won't name these organizations because they're private, but the founder did begin with the exit in mind, and unfortunately passed away when he was just short of his 70th birthday. But because he had planned everything, the transition internally, it's as smooth a transition as you can get with somebody who suddenly passes away. Somebody else, they had a huge downturn in the market that they were in. And now they have to let go of all their employees, and they're like, I don't know if I'm going to file for bankruptcy or what. Like, I'm not sure what to do. And then the 5th one I will, because they're public with it. It's a guy named Paul Lucas, Lukas. He's run a website for almost 25 years called Uniwatch. It's all about sports uniforms and stuff like that. It's like the super great niche website. But he just said he's been planning for a few years to transition out because he's like, man, it's great. I've been doing this for 25 years, but at the same time, I've been doing this for 25 years and I don't want to be writing about uniforms in my 60s, right? I have more creative things that I want to go after. So it just, again, those are 5 that have just come up in very recent times for me, Tom. That's why I just think like it's so important for folks to be able to prepare this. And so I guess tying it with that, getting back to the Business Transition Summit, what advice would you give to somebody who's unsure if they want to go or not? Is it, hey, you could be the 6th person that Jim knows about, and there's way more beyond that. So what would you say? What would be your pitch to somebody who's kind of on the fence?
If you don't know whether or not it's time to start thinking about it, my pitch is come to the Business Transition Summit. It's not all about just showing you how to exit your business. There are so many things in going on during this day, so many educational opportunities about making your business better, about growing your business, about documenting your processes, about all of these things that make your business better. Because, by the way, my opinion is that exit planning is really all about strategic planning. It's thinking strategically about your business. give yourself a day, give yourself an education day, the gift of walking away from your business for one day, come to this event and expand your mind and take just one idea that you learn at this event and implement it in your business, and it could make all the difference in the world long term. And so it's not, this event is not just for people who want to sell their business right now, although it's got great information for those folks too. It's for any business owner who really wants to think long term and strategically, and how do I make my business more valuable? Because at the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about? We want to make our business more valuable. I think it was Carl Allen who said the only reason to get in business is to be able to monetize it and transfer that business at some point in the future. The only reason. And so this is a one-day opportunity to start thinking in that direction, but it's all about business improvement. So come and give us one day.
Excellent. Well, you heard it, friends. Get your ticket for the Business Transition Summit now at businesstransitionsummit.com, and then take the necessary steps towards achieving your dream exit. It's time to join the 17% club along with Tom and make your dream exit a reality. Tom, thanks so much for joining us today. That was great information.
I really appreciate you coming on and spending time, Jim. You're a great friend. You do a lot of great work at the RSPA with business owners, particularly in that retail space. And just, I'm a big fan of what you do. Big fan of your books. I look forward to finishing off our book together sometime in this next year too.
I'm looking forward to, I also think it's interesting, Texas Rangers, right, won the World Series, and you had me pinch hitting as the leadoff, like to start off. Usually the pinch hitter comes in late, so pretty unique spot there, having me pinch hit right from the get-go. So
that's exactly right. I will tell you that right before this, I should have left it on, because right before this, I was wearing my world champion Texas Rangers sweatshirt. I thought I probably ought to put on a collar before I get on with Jim, because I know he always dresses well. I know that his wife dresses him every morning. So
it'd have been great if you just rip off your sweater right now and there is your Rangers World Series banner underneath. So.
Dang it, I wish I'd thought of that.
Well, maybe folks will see that at the summit. So, all right, to close, thanks everybody for joining us for this first episode of the Business Transition Summit podcast. We're glad you're here. You hope you found it both informative and entertaining. And we don't want you to miss any future episodes. Hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. And while you're there, do us a favor and rate this episode, this podcast, and leave a review. It helps us deliver better information and reach more business owners. We look forward to sharing more information with you on how you can achieve your dream exit. But for now, again, go to the website, businesstransitionsummit.com, to learn more about dream exits. There is a growing resource page built just for business owners like you. Lastly, we look forward to seeing you at the Business Transition Summit, May 7th in Westlake, Texas. Goodbye, everybody.
The Business Transition Summit is an opportunity for you to educate yourself, empower your business, and execute relentlessly on your exit strategy. Have you heard this stat before? 83% of business owners fail to successfully transition their business. That means that only 17% ever reach their dream exit from their business. Business owners, we don't want that to be you. We want you at the Business Transition Summit to kickstart or continue your dream exit journey. Join us for an unforgettable experience where industry titans, successful entrepreneurs, and top experts converge to share their wisdom, strategies, and secrets to success on exit strategy. Block your whole day on May 7th, 2024. Get your tickets, transform your business and life forever. Visit businesstransitionsummit.com for more information.